They grow up so fast, don't they? They do. I mean, just yesterday we were celebrating the birth of baby Jesus, and today he's 12 years old. And not only that, but he's causing his parents anxiety. They grow up too fast. Typical teenager. You know, there's certain events that happen in our lives that remind us and help us understand the value of family. Different events, both good and bad, and we all go through them. 3 of them that are very close to me that reminded me of those moments or the value of family was, the first one I can think of is when my mother and my 2 oldest sisters and father decided to move to the U.S. and they left me and my other 2 sisters back in Mexico for a year. Had that separation anxiety. And I remember the joy that I felt a year later once we were reunited. It made me realize family was important. Even at that young age of 8, family was important because it hurt to be separated from them. The second time that I had this awareness very strongly in my life was when I was around 12 and my parents got a divorce. And I didn't quite understand the things that were going on in the adult realm, or why things just didn't work out between them, why they decided to separate. But I do remember being in school and seeing my other friends who had wonderful united families, both mom and dad, and thinking, gosh, I wish I had that. I wish I had that. I longed for an unbroken family. It made me understand the value of a united family. And then the latest experience of this was recently, last year, right during the height of the first winter COVID surge. One of my sisters was in the ICU with COVID pneumonia, and she was very close to being intubated. Now, by then, it was exactly a year ago, it was during Christmas week. At that moment, I had already been in many ICU rooms with many people who were dying of COVID, and I was the only one there allowed. So I knew that if I went to the hospital and I told them I was the brother, they wouldn't let me in because they weren't letting family in. So I went in incognito, wearing the collar. And what frightened me was how easy they let me in, because they would only let us in if the individual was close to dying. And once I got there, they let me right in, no questions asked. And I remember being in that ICU room and thinking, I'm going to lose a sister. I'm going to lose a sister. Thank God she's fine now. She was able to recover. But that moment, a strong moment, made me realize how important my siblings are to me. So yeah, there are events in our lives that help us understand the value of family. But the thing is, we don't have to wait for a very joyous moment like a wedding, or a very traumatic moment like being close or losing a loved one, to help us realize just the value that there is in those that are around us. All we need is to constantly put our gaze upon the Holy Family, Joseph, Mary, and Jesus. Now, I'd like to take our reflection today and divide it into 2 different points. First, how the Holy Family reveals to us that our own families are holy. Believe it or not, yes, they are. And second, that the Holy Family also reveals to us who is our family. Now, to the first, I'm going to do a brief little recap on Catholic teaching on the family. Now, Catholic teaching holds that the family is the principal cell, also called the building block of society, because it is within a stable family that the individual gets the best environment to be able to flourish. The healthier the human person is, then the healthier society will be. It's easy to go to Seattle and see how broken families can result in people, in just very negative mental states, unfortunately. Which is why that the church will always speak out against things that are against the union of the family. Things, for example, like separation of children from their parents at the border. Things like the redefinition of marriage. Things like abortion. All of those things will always be against the stability of a home. Now, a family is also important because it is within the family that values are passed down. Now, there are some values that do differ between culture to culture, between histories, but as Catholics, some of the values that we hold can be traced back to ancient wisdom literature, like that of the first reading of the book of Sirach today, which emphasizes two principal values: respect and obedience. It tells us that children are to be obedient to their parents, and parents then are to exercise their authority over their children with respect. And it is a mutual respect and obedience because there will be a time where the tables will turn, the roles will change, where it is the now adult children taking care of the aging parents, just as the parents wants to care of the children. And therefore, every member of the family holds this important role: children, adults, elderly. And so then further, these values are important because these are the values that will help the individual, beginning from their childhood, understand, experience, and discover their vocation, their calling. So with this in mind, this little recap of Catholic teaching on the family, let us now look at the Holy Family then. And it can be very tempting for us to see the Holy Family and just think of them as privileged. They're privileged. On the solemnity of the Immaculate Conception, we saw how Mary was born immaculate, without sin. She had perfect obedience. She had perfect respect. Yeah, she was privileged. We can look at Joseph. And even though Joseph wasn't immaculate himself, he wasn't born without sin, he did come from the line of David. He was royalty. He was privileged. God had promised something to his family. And then, of course, there's Jesus, who, though he was in the form of God, he was able to dispose of that. He didn't regard equality with God something that was grasped, but rather he just humbled himself to become one of us, incarnate, vulnerable as a baby. But even then, he was still privileged, being the Son of God. So with parents like these, and a child like that, then yeah, it can be easy to look at them and say, well, that's why Jesus was able to grow in wisdom and stature. And that is how Jesus was able to discover his vocation as the Messiah, because he came from a pretty good family. God favored them all, very unlike my own. And when we do that, then the Holy Family becomes so far removed, we can't really identify with them, especially when we look at our own family, when we look at our spouse who is anything but holy, or when we realize, or in your kids who are everything but obedient, as our kids, or as kids, when we look at our parents, as I did when I was a kid, and said they're anything but understanding. When we look at our own siblings and are convinced that they could rival Cain, but as privileged as the members of the Holy Family might seem to be, they did bear the experience that any family like yours and I go through. The asylum seekers, the immigrants, the homeless, those who experience the death of a family member, of a parent, the single mom, the teenage mom, those who experience the imprisonment of a son, the anguish of a mother. I mean, Mary's heart is pierced by a sword, just like yours and mine are during those difficult moments that accompany family life. Just like my own heart was pierced back when I was a kid, when my parents divorced, and a year ago, being inside that ICU room. And what this piercing of Mary's heart reveals is that by being born in a family, God, through the incarnation of Jesus, has made the family then, and all its experiences, all of its joys and its struggles, something uniquely holy. And it is holy because God is holy. And then in the family then, God shows us part of who God is, communion. It's what we call the Trinity. It's a family, a communion of persons. So every family for us reflects the Trinity, and that is what makes every family holy. Yes, even yours and mine, as perfect and ideal or broken as they might seem sometimes. Now, this is the reality that should help us always cherish our family members, each one of them, regardless of how difficult one or the other might be, and to do so every day and not risk the chance of something happening only to lament the fact that we took them for granted, that it might be too late. As a second brief point, by gazing upon the Holy Family, we learn that in Christ, all of us are family. Now, I was looking at the statistics, and in the U.S., the typical traditional family is mom, dad, and 2.5 kids, which I assume the 0.5 is a dog. I just never know what the 0.5 means. But in the Holy Family, we have a woman who remained a virgin, a father who had no blood ties to his son, yet a family. And not only that, but Jesus, he would later on talk about his brothers and sisters, which were actually his cousins if we want to get technical. And Jesus would say to the people, "Who is my brother and sister?" All of these, pointing to everyone around him, all of these are my brothers and sisters. So for us, by gazing on the Holy Family, we see how Christ has broadened who we consider to be part of our family, which is why it's possible for us to see someone who's completely unrelated to us, unrelated by blood or culture, and declare, yes, they are part of us. They are one of us. And that is why Christ has mirrored the church that way, as a community of faith, as a family. In community, when two or three are gathered in the name of Jesus, God is present. The Trinity is made present. And yet again, made present like your immediate family. So this means that the church family and our immediate families are synonymous with each other. There is no differentiation. And the more we grow in this awareness, the more connected we will become to others and their life experiences. Now, as someone who has chosen to have no immediate family of his own, I cannot express to you how incredibly supported I have felt by my family of faith. I cannot express to you how, even in those moments where I struggle with my own relationship with God and prayer, which I'm very transparent about, I always let you know, precisely because I need your support. I will never pretend like I've got it all put together. The reason I do that consciously and purposely is because I depend on you as my family of faith to hold me up in prayer when I need it, to be my strength when I feel like I don't have any. You know, there's power in the Christian community. There is the body of Christ. So whenever any of you are facing a situation that seems just beyond you, unbearable, where uncertainty just seems like too much, and trust seems difficult, oftentimes when we're going through a difficult time, people say, well, trust in God. Easy to say, but when we're in that difficult situation, that's a difficult thing to think about, trusting in God. And that is especially the moments where we are to seek one another. Seek support in the body of Christ, your family in faith, to lift you in prayer. Takes me to my final invitation for you today. In the new website, we have a little section that says "Need Prayer," and that's there for you, for us. And whenever you just need you just need someone to pray for you for whatever situation, just go there. You send in your petition anonymously. You need to put in your name, and a team will get them, and we will pray for you as soon as we get it. Likewise, if you want to be part of this intercession team, if you want to be able to support your family of faith when they are in need, send me an email. Let me know, and I will add your email to that list. We get about 2 or 3 a week of people in need from our community, just asking for prayers, asking to be supported. no matter where we are, when we come together as a Christian family, we will never be far away from home. Now, we have gone through a lot this past 2 years of pandemic, both in our immediate families and also as a church. But amidst all of that, the challenge and the blessings that it has brought, the invitation again today is to just place our gaze on that Holy Family. For me, what I have learned this past 2.5 years of doing that, every year reminding myself to do that, what I have found when I gaze on Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, I have found that the greatest gift in my own life is a deeper understanding that all of you are my own gift. All of you. You are my Holy Family.